All right. Good morning, everyone. Today is April 10th, and I'm here with Dr. Stephanie Taylor, and we'll be looking today at a data set of 6,000 in the UK, looking at seasonal different coronaviruses and influenza. So Stephanie, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to you, and we can look at the graph together.
Great. So good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for joining our highlights, our 3 times a week highlights. So this is an interesting graph. This is a data set, as Graham just said, of about 6,000 nasal swabs, so nose swabs, of individuals in the UK over several years. So this group was trying to see what the seasonality was of different coronaviruses and comparing that to the influenza virus seasonality. So if you take a look at this graph, the solid line with the highest peaks show nasal swabs that had active influenza virus in them. And you can see the diseases were the most prevalent. Influenza was the most prevalent in late fall to early spring. So then this group looked at 3 different coronaviruses, not the SARS-CoV-2 that we're dealing with now, but the same family of viruses. We don't have enough longitudinal data to create this kind of graph with the virus we're dealing with now, but these were similar. And you can see, although not as, there weren't as many cases as influenza, there is seasonality to these trends. So the disease outbreaks were highest in late autumn to early spring. Of the 3 different coronaviruses studied, the peak was all dying down by April. Now, again, it's really important to remember that this is not the exact mutation that we're dealing with now. COVID-19 virus is very infectious. So we can't exactly predict how it's going to behave, but at least based on these other viruses, we have seen seasonality with the dipping down of disease cases as springtime and summer comes along. So Graham is going to talk about some other important things to remember regarding this seasonality. But I just want to also say, for everyone who's planning a celebratory meal, Easter, or whatever you celebrate, remember that social distancing and hand hygiene and staying home policies are still in place over the weekend. So I hope everyone has a great time and stays safe. And now Graham is going to discuss some other really important factors.
Yeah, so looking at this data trend, it's not just the outdoor condition that we have to consider, but how it affects our indoor condition as well. Especially during these months, we spend more and more time inside. So that's really what is important here. And from past highlights, if you've tuned in, or other literature that Stephanie has passed forward and put through, we know that when we draw that air inside and we heat it up, the relative humidity does change and lowers significantly. And this is really where we see that drop out of the 40 to 60 range, that kind of golden zone that we've been discussing for quite a while. And that's when you see this high infectivity, lower immune system defense, and higher spread of these viruses and pathogens. So that's really what you have to keep in mind when you're looking at data sets like this. And although it's not the current COVID-19 or the SARS-CoV-2 virus that we're looking at, these are of the same family. With the current situation, we have a much more infective virus, and that can really continue to spread throughout the summer, and we're not really sure how it will affect the spread of this virus as we get into more of the humid season that we're used to, but it's just something to keep in mind here. With that, I'd like to wish everyone a happy long weekend, a happy Easter if you celebrate it, or a happy Passover if you had just finished celebrating it as well. And thanks for joining us. Remember to follow Stephanie on LinkedIn. She's continuing to post tons of articles on this subject. with plenty of different background data. And we're getting really into more mainstream media as well. So thanks for joining us as well today, and hope to see you next week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Okay, thanks everyone.
Thanks, Graham. Bye, everyone.